Hey YouTube, this is Southern Purple One. I haven't made any videos for days. Pollen started a sinus infection, which started an upper respiratory problem, but I'm on antibiotics. Feeling somewhat better, but still, I'd rather be on the couch right now. But there's so much to do. This is springtime, so when springtime comes and you're a homesteader, there's a million things to do. Plus, with the urgency to get as much food into the ground and to get as prepared as possible for a food shortage or a food cost increase or whatever is thrown at us with this crazy world we're in, this is just the time that's sun up to sundown. But when you're sick, you can't do it. I'll show you. These got to be put in the ground. Those are doing good. They've been in it for a little bit and they're starting to bear some fruit. The walking onions are good. The garlic is doing great. But look at the weeds. Look, I haven't even cleaned that up from last week. Well, a week and a half. I need to rake all this up and get some grass seed down. These I just planted not too long ago, and they're loving it in the ground. These things have been in pots. Yeah, don't holler at me. Please don't holler at me. Those things have been in pots for 3 years. 3 years! Because I had no place to put them, and I had a million other things to do. So, as soon as they get in that ground, they're going to take off. So, a million things to do here. You can't get it all done. So, what I want to tell you now, and I want to try to impress upon you, the importance of getting a homestead as far as advanced as possible. Because if you say, well, when the crap hits the fan, I won't be working, I can work around here. At that point, you need to have food producing. You need to have projects way done, because you're going to have enough problems trying to get everything else done with the lack of services. And I'm going to talk about that further in the video. But look at that. Nate was cutting grass. Boom, belt blew off. So we got to get a new belt. Broke. So that's a task we got to do. These things have got to get moved over there and set up. Dirt has to be put in them, compost put in them, fresh rabbit manure put in them, a million things to do. I brought the plants down there, the trees down there, because I got to water them. Today's task is to get those in the ground. Nate's going to help me, and I'm going to try to dig, but I feel like crap. That's the only thing I can tell you. Still got some sinus infection, but I can't spend another day on the couch. Too much to do. Way too much to do. So I'm trying to urge you, you need to get out of the cities. You need to get into an area where you can grow some food. Cities are not freedom. Cities are, you have to rely on someone else for all your services, from your trash pickup to water to sewer to fire to police. You got to rely on going to the grocery store. Even if you have a little garden in your suburbs, you're still not a free person in the sense of you can be free and independent. Now, no one is truly free and independent. You have to rely on someone, because you can't do something on a homestead all by yourself. You can't raise everything you need. So you have to pick a few areas where you can exceed in those areas and have a trade value. But I want to talk about when you pick up the phone and there's no dial tone. There's no 911 services. There's no services. That day could come. It could come from a financial collapse and lack of services because of lack of money. It could come from EMP. It could come from anything. But let's just say there's no ability to pick up the phone and call for help. Saturday, I was on the couch in the afternoon. My buddy frantically called me. I got a fire. He was doing a burn pile, and the wind picked up, and it took some of the hot embers and threw it into the woods. Luckily, by the time I got there, and I was very quick, I jumped out, threw some shoes on, ran out the door, not knowing when I got there what it would look like. But it wasn't too bad. He got it under control. But one of his questions was, and I get this question a lot from people, if I call the fire department, will they charge me for coming out? Now, I'm talking about a volunteer fire department. Some of the guys are on duty. They get paid, but we don't have a person 24 hours a day at the station. Sometimes there are people there at the station. But let's back up and talk about how my volunteer fire department was formed. It was formed by a few guys many years ago deciding they need some fire protection, and they organized it and bought a truck. And one of the truck was actually kept at one of the first founders' house. That's where they kept the truck. So luckily he was very active in it, and he would get the truck to the fire, and everyone else would get to the fire, and they would fight it. And this is out in the country, and that's what I'm scared of. People rely on that public service, and it's awesome. You call 911, you get police, you get ambulance, you get everyone there. One day it might not be there. So I'm trying to impress upon you the importance of you being self-sufficient in every aspect. That's why one of my goals, if SHTF happens, is to have a community clinic. Now this, I understand that, you know, a lot of people might not contribute, and that's fine. It might not get off the ground too well because people are selfish and people won't want to commit. But I live in an area where neighbors take care of neighbors. You might live in a totally different area. You don't even know the names of your neighbors on both sides of you. I live in a different environment than you do. So my chances of surviving and making this happen are high. People take care of each other out here. People know each other out here. So it's going to hopefully be a uniting factor. Now, it's not going to be where you're going to go get some major surgery. That's for sure. This is going to be bare bones, third world. But it's going to be a place where people can get some assistance, and some people in the community that are medically, that's what they do for a living, will be able to contribute. I think it would be a uniting factor for the community, especially if that you use that service and realize, hey, these volunteers here help me. Now, as a volunteer fireman for many, many years, it's sort of, yeah, some people appreciate you and then some do not. They really appreciate you at 3 in the morning when your house is on fire and you get there quickly and be able to get it out and save most of the structure. They really love you then. But until they need you, they don't even think about you, and that's the honest truth. Volunteer firemen, anyone that volunteers in their community, I appreciate you from the bottom of my heart, because I know what you go through. You don't get paid, and you put a lot of training and a lot of time, and you risk your life. I risked my life. The driver of a tanker, and it was actually a tender. It was a water tender. Decided he was trying to figure out how many times we could roll a huge fire truck. I can't remember the count of how many times we rolled because I got knocked out, but all I remember is the first roll. So daily volunteer people, firemen, risk their lives. Are they going to be willing to risk their lives in SHTF? If you don't live in a community that you can honestly say, oh no, my neighbors, they're solid people, they're salt of the earth, you need to move. You need to get the heck out. This isn't at this point, prepping is not a game. If you think prepping's just a game and a hobby, then stay where you are. There's nothing I can do to get you to move. If you financially can't move, you financially can't move. But you should be looking for greener pastures. You should be looking for a place that you could sustain yourself in hard times. Even if hard times doesn't come, get out of the cities. They're nothing but trouble. They're nothing but a stress. They make you stressful. Drive around your city, and if you get stressful driving just to go get the basics of life, you're in the wrong place. You need to get in an environment that's not unhealthy for you, and that's an unhealthy environment. If there's so much traffic, smog, crime, that you get stressed out because of it, get the heck out. So the question is, what are you going to do if you can't pick up the phone and call 911 for a medical emergency or a fire? As a prepper, you need to take care of your retreat, your house, your property right now, and get a fire plan for that. But then you got to start thinking, what if my neighbor's house catches on fire? Do we have a plan between the neighbors to at least contain it? Yes, to fight it defensively, to make sure it doesn't spread. Can we save their garage? Can we save the community from, if it was windy, and spreading from house to house? Fire is a huge threat. People, especially preppers, don't take it serious enough, because we got 911, and you can get many fire trucks, many engines, many guys. EMS at your house in no time. Out here in the country, I could call an EMS right now and it might take 20 solid minutes. We got one ambulance to cover the northern part of our county. Luckily, they're located about 6 miles down the road at a fire station. But we've called them for emergencies, and they were on another call, and we had to bring an ambulance from the closest city. We have done CPR and worked a person for about 25 minutes before we could get an ambulance. Well, that was incorrect. It took 25 minutes from the call to get an ambulance. We probably worked them a good 10, 15 minutes before we got an ambulance. That's the negative part of living in the country. You're further away from medical help, so you need to make sure that you're prepared even more, that you know CPR. You have the ability to stop blood that's flowing from someone. Ability to put a tourniquet on. So you need to think, even if you're in the city, if I pick the phone up and I can't get 911, can I handle it? Am I self-sufficient in all aspects? Can I take care of my security needs? We've had a lot of incidents where people's alarms have gone up and they've called me, and I have responded, and I've got there way before the county sheriff has. Do you live in a community that you have people on your phone that if you needed help, you could just call? When I was going down the road to get in my buddy's house, luckily he's not too far away. In my head, I was like, okay, if he hadn't already called the fire department, and if it's where he thinks he can contain it, who am I going to call first? And I had a list of people on my phone. All right, I'll call him, call him, and get some help coming. Not fire department help, but community people. We had that bad fire about 4 years ago. We had a great response of our community. Our prepper group protected other preppers' homes. With more resources, neighbors of them thought that we were the volunteer fire department. And we had to tell them, no, we are just hauling the big, large totes with water and spraying people's houses down, spraying our buddies' properties down. That's where you need to find a place to live. That is the real survival plan, is the community of like-minded people. If you say, I can't find one, then you're not looking hard enough. But remember, when you come to one of those communities, you can't be a taker. You better be a giver. Because people will see that, and bang, you won't really be part of the community. Your reputation will be known. It's a lot of work to be a prepper. Extreme amount of work to be a prepper. Lazy people don't prep. So, today's task in your head, if I can't call 911, do I have people that could respond to my house with some medical help for me, fire protection help? Could I have some guys provide security because I have an incident on my property? Do I have those friends? I haven't even addressed in a grid down, maybe you don't have a cell phone. Now we get to a whole nother aspect of, do you have a backup communication plan with radios? It just gets harder and harder. Now is the time to develop those relationships. Now is the time to develop a plan to communicate other than with the cell phones. It might come down to having a bell in your neighborhood, a community bell, that if you ring it crazy, that means security problems. Or if it's 3 rings and then 3 seconds of silence and 3 rings, that might be a fire emergency. It's going to come down to that. We have been spoiled in this country to have the luxuries we have. We've been blessed. But now is the time to develop a plan when we're not blessed, when there's no electricity, when there's no 911. And I know I'm ranting, but it's that important. Going to my buddy's house Saturday, just made that whole plan. I was going to do a video on no 911, and that could happen because of cuts in services, the dollar collapse. There's a lot of reasons, but you need to have it ironed out now. Now is the time to be working your butt off. You're not going to have time when the crap hits the fan to come up with all these plans. Now is the time to have plans. You might say, Dave, I got no friends I can count on. There's no real easy answer to tell you, but I deal with people like that. Say, man, I don't have anybody I can count on. Is it maybe people can't count on you? And that's a little harsh to say, and I apologize. Maybe you have proven through your actions that you're not a person they can count on, so no one's wanting to be part of your team. No one wants to be aligned with you. Because maybe you've done some bad decisions and you haven't been there for other people that needed help. That's a little harsh. But look at it. Maybe that's the problem. Maybe you need to be more friendlier. Maybe you need to be more reliable. I've ranted enough. Got a lot of videos to do today. I got a few more to do. Thanks for watching.